All right, Gravelers, welcome to Mastering RPI, the Queen's Stage Race, Stage 2 course preview. I'm Rebecca, your tour guide on the course, along with Coach Tim Cusick. And our goal for today is take you mile by mile through Stage 2 and give you all the confidence and detail that you need to really crush it. So let's get into this one. All right, and this one is, let's see. There we go. All right. So stage 2, it's 40, almost 50 miles total of mileage, but you're only timed for 4.5 miles. So this is a very unique stage, and that is a lot of neutral riding, one uphill time trial, Sufferfest that's timed with a 3,000-foot elevation gain. It's 90% gravel, 10% paved. And it's one of my favorite stages. It's really unique. I'll tell you why in a minute. But for your planning for the 50 miles, there are no rest stops on this stage. There is limited water at the start and the finish of your uphill time trial. And there are restrooms out there at the start and finish of the time trial. So please use those facilities. Know that they're going to be out there waiting for you. And also know that you can roll with supplies for this ride. So you can bring a hydration pack or fueling or whatever else, and you don't have to ride uphill with it. But here is the course map. As you can see, we start in Ketchum where that green arrow is and do a nice long neutral ride all the way out to where that little arrow is at just after mile 20. So we've got 20 some miles of neutral riding out there. Here's the course profile. So it's gradually uphill from Ketchum, and we get to the top, and then we come down and go gradually homes. And you can see along the top line there, these are the kind of the key points of the course that we're going to talk about today. We're going to break it out section by section. And you can also see, again, we put a note down there, no aid stations. We're going into very remote territory, as we do with every stage of Private Idaho. So no cell coverage, no restaurants, no gas stations. So you want to make sure that you're supplied as you roll out of town for this stage. So let's break down the first section, which is from the start at the Limelight Hotel, neutral rollout to the start of the uphill time trial. And here you can see the overview. It's quite a long section. It's not a big climb, but it is gradually climbing, flattish climbing all the way out to the uphill time trial. It's a little over 20 miles. And again, I'm going to reinforce that it's neutral. So we're all going to line up together at the Limelight Hotel, a big fun group ride. And this is one of my favorite stages because it's untimed. It's so rare in a race event that you actually just get to go on a social ride with people. And so enjoy that, embrace it, embrace the fact that you can chit chat with your friends while you're riding out to a race start. Like, that never really happens. And I love it because it's the one time where I really get to catch up. Normally you go to a race and you see people and you might see them and say hi, and you're kind of with the same people each day, but you don't really get to talk and be like, hey, where are you from? Have you been here before? I love this stage, and I designed it this way because I felt like part of what's important about riding bikes together is creating community and talking to each other. So take this time to really enjoy the social ride aspect of it on the way out and the way back. Through town, we are going to be a pretty big group of 300 people rolling through the very small town of Ketchum, Idaho. And so I'm going to ask that we're slow and respectful, watching out for dogs and other users on the bike path. So the pavement section, until we get outside of town, just take it really easy. There's no race. You can't start. I always tell people you can't start till I get there. So you gotta be behind me anyway, or wait for me, and just be respectful through town so that we're not disrupting other users. And then when we get to the dirt, we leave the pavement, we get to the dirt out Warm Springs Road. It's a really wide, nice gravel road. Keep in mind there are vehicles out there. There are other users, so we don't get to take the whole road. Just be heads up, we're a large group moving en masse, and there will be oncoming traffic or cars that want to get around us. So since we're not timed, we can all chill out and be neutral and have fun. And yeah, chit chat, enjoy the ride, because it's actually really, really fun. And you might be nervous about the uphill time trial, but I just like this because it's like everyone's chatting. You've got a warm jacket on. You don't have to worry about, you don't really have to worry about anything. We're just going on a big group ride. So use this section to warm up, enjoy yourself, maybe meet some new friends that you haven't talked to before, and just be chill and know that we're on open roads that are open to other users. And it's 20 miles. It takes a couple hours to get out there, depending on the pace. So, Tim, what do you have for the science coaching of this section, the Warm Springs Road outbound?
A word of caution I have. Not all neutral is the same. The benefit, it's always kind of like a tale of two cities here. The good news is you get to chat and be social and do all those great things, which is amazing at an event and a serious advantage. It is very cool. But on the same side, be careful that you don't make a mistake in your pacing. You want these 20 miles to be planned. You want to know that you might want to start a little easier, that you might actually want to put in a couple of harder efforts as you want to, whatever your warm-up strategies, execute your warm-up strategy, your neutral rollout within that. And the reality is, I would say half the people, just guessing, no science, make the mistake of going too hard in this neutral, and then it really significantly impacts your uphill time trial. You want to be very fresh as you can be when you hit that time trial start, if you want peak performance.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, definitely people get excited, like they're riding out with the pros, and maybe they want to talk to me, or they want to talk to somebody, and you kind of get in this conversation, and all of a sudden you notice your heart rate's up and up, and you're struggling to have a conversation. If you can't have a conversation with the person that you're next to, you're probably doing what Coach Tim said, and you're going a little too hard. So that's kind of a good gauge, maybe, is to keep it conversational pace, enjoy it, maybe do a few openers or whatever, but know that you still got your racing ahead. And there isn't really a time limit to get out there. We leave all together so that we kind of get everybody going at the same time, so that we don't keep our timers out there all day. But know that go at your own pace, and when you get there for your race start, then that's when we're going to race. So Warm Springs Road, neutral rollout. And then mile 20 and a half is where we arrive at the uphill time trial start. And again, I'm going to remind you, there will be porta potties out there. Please use those instead of the side of the road. It's not a good look if we're all on the side of the road. So we've got porta potties, we've got a little bit of water out there. But again, I want you to bring your own supplies, your own stuff. And let's break down the time trial start. So here's where you see it on the course map. You start to see the trail starts to get a little more squiggly. It starts to get steeper on the uphill. It's not quite so gradual anymore. Mile 20.5. And yeah, a few reminders. There's water, there's restrooms, there's like a tiny little pullout and a timing mat, and we'll have a tent there. There is space. I'm going to ask that when we line up, keep in mind, we're on an open road. So everyone's going to squish to the side, and we just kind of get in line, and we'll go at 15-second intervals. Typically we do, the top 10 or so in each category. We do those in order of their timing from stage 1, and then it's kind of a free-for-all. So whenever you arrive there, as soon as you're ready, you just jump in that line, and then you go. So you can leave a pack or a hydration pack or whatever sort of in the woods. Nobody's going to bother it. But just keep in mind that when you get there, use the facilities, leave whatever you want to leave that you don't want to ride uphill with, because you will return right back to the same point when you're done with your time trial. So you're going to go up the hill, come down the hill, right back to it. So if you want to leave something, that's fine. It's just off in the bushes somewhere. And then we'll give you a 3, 2, 1, go. Making sure that, and we line you up behind the timing mat. And so you get, I don't know, 25 yards or so to like roll up Get yourself going, get clipped in. So it's not like the time trial that you watch on TV at the Tour de France. We're not going to hold your bike. You got to clip yourself in, but we give you a little rollout so you're situated. So your timing doesn't start until you roll over that mat. So take it easy, get clipped in, and then you can ramp yourself up to speed to cross over that mat. And just some tips you can see from the pictures here. It's a really cool climb. It is an open road with two-way traffic. You can see blind hairpin turns. You're going to see riders coming up and down. Some riders going up while others are coming down. So yeah, it's an uphill time trial. We're going to break down a little bit later in this presentation. We're going to break down some strategies for those of you who've never done an uphill time trial uphill time trial, which is me before this. But really, I put this stage in, like all the other stages, I really wanted to have a unique course that has something for everybody's strengths. So some people love this stage, some people hate this stage, but everybody has to do it. So Tim's gonna love this stage. I like stage one a little bit better, but it's really unique, and it kind of pushes you to race in an element that you're not used to racing in, which I kind of like. So that's the uphill time trial start. Let's go to the next section of the course, and you can see it's beautiful open terrain. Here is your finish at the very top, mile 24.9, basically 25 miles out at the very far end of the course. You are going to get to the top of the hill. This is what it looks like. So you're coming up that road. You can see in the picture, you're coming up the road that you see on the sort of right side of the picture, and you're going to make a little turn and head in under that arch. The timing mat for the finish is under the arch. So we get you off the road. You got, another 50 yards to sprint to the finish, and then you can relax and take a breather. At the top, there's a little bit of water. There are plenty of high fives. There are many happy people who have finished their time trial at the top. And so it's a really nice place to kind of just take a minute, chill out, look at the view. It's the highest elevation of the race. We top out around 9,000 feet. So higher than any of the other stages. It's very dry. It's very dusty. This is a former burned area, as you can see. And so there's no shade on course. And you're riding uphill. So you're definitely going to feel pretty dry mouth at the top of this thing. But the grade is really nice. It's about an average 5% grade. I really like this hill because it's not so steep that you can't do it. It's a really doable grade for you to pick your gears and figure it out. So that's what the top of the climb looks like. You go over that timing mat, and then you're halfway done with the stage, but you're done with the racing part. So you can take a minute. You've got as long as you need to get back home. So when we get to the top, here is the finish. It's very festive. I'll be up there with my dogs. I'll be cheering for you. And yeah, it's a really great place to high five, cheer for other people who are coming up, cheer for your friends. And here are, just so you know, some of the average times for the uphill time trial. So winning times, 21 minutes, 24 minutes, average about a half an hour, 30 to 35 minutes, and the slowest times a little over an hour. So this is where you can start thinking about your pacing, what you might want to take up the hill with you as far as hydration or fueling or anything like that. But you can kind of gauge these times. It's not that long. It's going to feel long, and you're like, is this the last corner? Is this the last corner? Unlike our other finishes, you can see this finish from like the last couple turns. So you can kind of start to see the people hanging out at the top. So you sort of know when you're getting near the top. But yeah, 21 minutes to an hour and change. That's what we're looking at. Let's see. All right, so now we're going to dive into, if you're like most of us, you have not done an uphill time trial. Even if you're a time trial athlete on the road, this is different. This is really different. It's really unique. I'll remind people again, you've got to use the same bike frame that you're using for the whole stage. You can change your tires and wheels if you want to. That is totally up to you. But this is one of Tim's specialties. I mean, he coaches, world-class time trialists. So we're going to have him give us a few tips. My tips, though, are one, you don't have to take all your stuff up the hill. So just kind of logistically, you're planning your food and nutrition and all your stuff, maybe a jacket because it's cool in the morning for 50 miles, but you're only racing 4.5 miles. So you can, you don't have to bring the kitchen sink, but definitely bring the supplies you need and leave them at the bottom. Make sure that you take them home with you. We always have leftover stuff. I'm not your mother. I'm not going to clean up after you. So make sure you take your stuff home with you. And then something that I do here, one thing about this stage is unlike a typical road time trial where you all are going off and then you never see anybody unless you're fast and you're catching people. This time trial, because we're all kind of mixed in different paces, you're going to pass people are going to pass you, you're going to see all the people coming down. And so it's kind of like this group suffer rest, and it kind of elevates your mood because I have a friend who gave me some advice a long time ago. She said, no matter how good or bad you feel, it won't last. And I promise you, the time trial will come to an end. It's going to be hard. It is really hard. But you see all these other people suffering with you and, giving each other encouragement as you come up. Cheer for people, because especially if you're coming down and you're already done, you're all happy. Give some high fives to people, give them a little motivation, cheer for them. And it's really nice. You kind of feel like you're alone, but you're really not alone because there's a lot of people on course. I'm going to be going up and back. The motorcycles are going to be going up and back, and all your other competitors are going to be out there with you. And then one other little strategy that I think about is sometimes I like to watch, my perceived exertion, but I also like to watch my miles per hour. And something that I do in a race strategy is like, can I go 0.1 mile an hour faster? Can I just go a teeny bit faster? And so I like to have a little measurement gauge so that, because you always feel like, oh, I'm going as hard as I can. But I kind of like to look to the gauge and go, well, could I go a little faster? So challenging yourself on the way up instead of just like, oh, this hurts, because it hurts for everybody. You can't even go slowly up uphill, a hill of this size. Even if you went slowly, it's going to be hard. So another saying I'll give you that a friend gave me is, you can run across the hot coals or you can walk across the hot coals. So it's going to hurt either way. So can you go 0.1 mile an hour faster and actually make the suffering last a little bit less of time? And the party's at the top. It's a celebration at the top. So get there as quickly as you can. And Tim, you're the expert in this kind of training and this kind of coaching. You've coached for decades athletes doing time trials. So what advice do you have for us here?
Well, even for me, this is a first uphill gravel time trial. A little more used to doing it on the road, but here's some thinking, right? When we think about excellent time trial performance, the first thing that tends to drive success is preparation as a whole. And preparation means practice. If we practice something, we become confident in it, and confidence leads to success. The number one thing you should practice is gearing. So if you think about like when you're on a bike and you're pedaling, you're making force or torque, spinning pedals in a circle, you're using strength to do so. There's different domains of how you use strength. And each of us eventually find our best domain, and we tend to call that our natural cadence or our self-selected cadence. So let's say your self-selected cadence is 85, and that's a place you always find yourself kind of pedaling, give or take a couple. You need to set yourself up that you're going to be in the same general cadence range during this uphill time trial. If you don't have the right gearing and suddenly you're doing 65, you're not going to put out a best performance because your body isn't necessarily prepared for that. If you have big gear jumps and you suddenly have to do a bunch of 95 RPM, you're not going to have your best performance because it's not the way your body is trained to make power. So the reality is, one thing I want everybody to do in advance, find a good 5% gravel road where you have an extended practice, even if it's just like a half mile. You don't need a ton, but find the gearing that allows you to go generally as hard as you expect to go and generally very close to your self-selected range so you can average that range. And that should be possible on today's mountain or gravel bike gearing. There's plenty of options. Figure out a way to get that done. That's what you should run. So that's your prep homework. Once we get on the course, I'm going to blend the next two together, right? first thing I want you to do is think about the course, break it down into 4 equal parts. So if it's 4.4 miles, let's make each one 1.1 mile long. And just mental thinking, this doesn't have to be perfect or exact. It's what I want you to have in your head. So the first 25%, the second 25%, the third and the fourth. My advice to you, and the advice where most people will get this wrong, even if you've watched this video and listened to me, is do not start too hard. You're going to have this neutral rollout, right? You're going to get to this line. Rebecca's going to be jumping around everywhere with all this energy, and you're just going to be full of adrenaline. And what adrenaline does is when you start, you're going to be like, wow, I'm feeling great. This is awesome. I can keep this amazing pace up forever. Till about 2 to 3 minutes in, when you get a case of the like, I started too hard. Everything's burning and the breathing's out of control. Physiological, because the adrenaline is now worn off. The physiological reality is you can only spend a little bit amount, a smaller amount of time over threshold. Some pro athletes can extend that significantly, but for most of us, we can't. So step one, don't start too hard. You want to be gaining speed. Rebecca's example of going a little bit faster each step. You want to be gaining speed, if you can, through each quarter, each segment, those 25% segments. I want you to break it down mentally in. Now, first segment, you're holding back. That means you're going to feel like you're holding back significantly, more than you might even think. If you have a power meter, you should base this on a power target. If you have a 200-watt threshold, maybe you're doing 190 to 195 in that first segment. And if you're feeling good 2, 3, 4 minutes in, okay, you can ramp it up to threshold, but I wouldn't go much higher in that first segment. You'll do better if you continue to increase power slightly throughout. This last tip in those segments, I'm going to tell you where the race is won. And I've worked with some of the best time trialists in the world, won some world championships and stuff like that. It's in the third quarter. When you break that down into 4 segments, this big muscle here is going to get in the way in the third. It always gets you in that section. Once you start getting closer to home, we tend to get back to right positive mindset. But in that third quarter, you're halfway in, you're trying to get to that third, you feel like you're not going to make it. That's where you're your own worst enemy. 2 things I want you to do in that, right? And these are just part of my approach towards it. 1, accept that it hurts. It's a mistake. You hear all this feedback or you read a fancy poster or something like that says, ignore the pain. You can't ignore pain. You know why? Because it hurts. It's there. Accept it, embrace it. It's about success. Hard things don't come easy. You're going to struggle and you just have to own it and accept it. But as you accept it, which that should help you realize is everyone else in that third segment is facing the same physical challenges, which are leading to the mental challenge. And whoever stays the most focused in that time frame, because I'm going to accept that pain. I know everybody else, and I'm just going to stay focused on making my number, my power, my 0.1 mile an hour faster. If you stay there and stay focused, you will have a significantly improved performance. You can look at time trial events or FTP tests or other stuff, and it's always in that middle quarter where you can just lose some focus, hurt too much, talk yourself out of things, and go slow. Once you're through that third quarter, if you stay focused, you start smelling that finish line, things get a little better. You get a little more positive. I can make it. But now you have the time in the bank of those 1 through 3 quarters. So really, that's just some good overall advice as far as your physical preparation, your biomechanical, having the right gearing and everything else preparation, and breaking the course down and executing.
I love that, Tim. And everyone now, you're going to have the visual of, I'm going to be jumping up and down and screaming at the start and the finish and giving you a lot of energy. And Tim's going to be on your shoulder, Coach Tim, in that third quarter, being like, all right, you can do this. You're mentally strong. Stay with it. So hopefully you'll have us physically and mentally in your heads yelling at you exactly the time that you need the motivation and the stoke and the push to get to the top there. You're at the top and it is celebratory, especially because this is way outside most people's comfort zone. So you are really going to celebrate at the top. It's actually pretty awesome up there. And then you get to come home. You are halfway done with the stage. You're 100% done with your racing though. So take a minute, get some water, get some food in you, and you're gonna descend off Dollarhide Summit, and that's the first part of the neutral roll back home. There is no timing. I'm going to remind you, there is no timing on the way home. And I really want to encourage you not to race down Dollarhide Summit. You're all elevated, you're stoked, you got to the top of the hill. It's not a downhill racetrack. Please, please, please take it easy, roll down. We like to say that there's a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit for descending because you're so excited, you're amped up, you want to fly down the road, but it's an open road. There's some blind corners, and there's a bunch of people coming up who probably want to hear some cheers from you. So I usually stop on the way down into some of the pullouts and taking pictures, cheering for people. So yeah, give some energy, take it chill going down Dollarhide Summit. It's a pretty big climb, and there are some hairpin turns, as you can see from that map. And then you're gonna roll. It's trending. It's 4.5 miles down the steep part of Dollarhide, and then it's just generally gradual downhill all the way back to Ketchum. So you've got a ways to roll back into town. Again, there's no time limit. You can take as long as you want. Don't forget to grab your supplies at the bottom of the time trial where the start is. Don't forget to take your things home with you. And then you're gonna roll back to Ketchum, and you've been on the dirt road. You'll be surprised where you didn't really think you were going uphill on the way out because it's quite gradual. So it's a nice, fun, really sort of festive roll back home. Safety first. Obviously, there are cars by this time. It's not early morning anymore, so there's more campers, there's more users, there's more cars on the road. You're gonna pass the warm springs. Basically the hot springs right here on Warm Springs Road. A lot of riders actually stop and take a swim and a dip. So again, enjoy, make some friends on the way home. Ride in together, have a good time. Make sure you are eating and drinking. And yeah, it's really fun. You're done for the day. You're not done for the stage race though. So Coach Tim, what advice do you have? And I guess I'll tell you, when you get back into Ketchum, you don't have to return to the Limelight Hotel. You don't have to you just have to ride back to Ketchum. And it is a requirement that you ride the whole 50 miles. So even though it's neutral, you can't jump in a vehicle, have your friend come pick you up. That's absolutely not the ethic of this. You've got to roll your butt back home. But like I said, it's gradual downhill. It's really nice. It's a nice ride in, and it's actually a really good way to shake out your legs and sort of get over the massive fatigue from what you just did on the uphill time trial. What do you have, Coach Tim, for the neutral roll back into Ketchum, that 25 miles on the way back home?
Well, it's not only 25 miles, particularly if you're going to stop and do the hot spring stop here. Here's what or warm springs. I would say, make sure you think through what you're carrying, because you can leave everything at the start of the TT and pick it back up on the way down. You want a lot of nutrition in that bag. Here's a mistake a lot of people will make on this day. You'll bring enough nutrition to execute basically through your time trial and maybe like one other bar or gel, and that's all you have. Then you end up cruising home slow, chatting with people, stopping and before you realize it, 4 or 5 hours have gone by and you haven't eaten enough, you haven't drank enough, and you're behind your nutrition strategy. In a stage race, your nutrition strategy is so vital that you are staying on top of your nutrition, particularly immediately after your rides. So if you end up hanging out in the springs for an hour and then, another hour to get kind of, clothes and shoes and everything back on, and you're not home, you're going to fall behind. It's cool to stop in the springs. It's cool to go home slow. Bring a lot of food. It really is that simple. Make sure you have enough food that during this time you're unwinding, you're relaxing, you're rejuvenating, all very good, but you need the calories coming in, you need carbs coming in, you need protein coming in. So your body's already preparing, because on Sunday, you have the big baked potato. Even falling behind, you might think, well, I have a whole day to catch up. It's hard to catch up. Bring enough food.
Yeah, it's super good advice. And you get caught up because, like I said, it's so festive. It's so fun to get to ride with people, and you're on a social ride after you've done your uphill, and it is one of my favorite parts of the whole event. But yeah, it's easy to forget that, oh, wait, I'm in the middle of a stage race. I better take care of myself. So yeah, bring some extra snacks. Yeah, take your time, but make sure you're not falling behind nutritionally for sure. And if you need to roll and get back to town and get your legs up and rest, do that. Do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself on this day. All right, so here are a few more images from the time trial, and you can see Dollar Heights Summit elevation 9301, and the hairpin turns, the descent's really fun, the dust, and so we've given you the mile by mile sort of intellectual course preview with the maps, but you should go watch the videos because there's nothing like live action watching of the actual courses of people riding it. So you can see the hill, you can see the dirt, you can kind of really, really cement that. It's like basically visualization for yourself. We all know visualization is a really strong technique. So you have the bonus of being able to watch this as you did, go through this section of the class, but also tune into those videos and really kind of put that in your head, because that's going to be your visualization. That is going to be your confidence when you're out there. There's nothing like fear of the unknown. And so you're not going to have that anymore. You've gone through this part of the class, you're going to watch the videos and really prepare in your head. And often people are like, I don't want to see it. I just don't want to know what it is because I'm afraid of it. But seeing is actually confidence. So tune into the videos. It's really beautiful out there. You're going to love it. It's such a cool course. And just a few reminders for our ethic for all of our stages is that we're on open roads, safety first. We're very remote, no cell phone coverage for any of our stages, including this one. And also, Idaho, we go to the highest elevation of the entire race on this day, wind, temperatures. So, keep all that in mind. And especially because you can bring some supplies out with you. Of course, being a gravel shark, we all know that. Safe, honest, accountable, responsible, kind. And the reason we're out there to gather together, people, purpose, place, ride with purpose in a beautiful place. So enjoy the scenery, enjoy the reason that we're there, and most of all, gravel for good. And that is stage 2 of the Queen's Stage Race Dollarhide Uphill Time Trial. I really hope you got a lot out of this section, and we'll be waiting for you at the neutral rollout and cheering for you, as we said, at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the course as you crush it on the uphill time trial day. Tim, anything to add before we sign off?
Yeah, one extra thing. Looking at the photos there, the finish of the time trial is at 9,300 feet. We're going to get questions. Like, a lot of people will probably come into this course and they're going to jump right into the course previews. In chapter 1, I do a lesson about the impact of elevation and how to better prepare. So just anticipate the questions if you jumped right into the course previews first, because it's the part you really want to see. Go into chapter 1, find the elevation lesson, and I'll lay out some targeting impacts, performance impacts, and how to better prepare.
That's awesome. Yeah, the elevation takes people by surprise. So you will be making some pacing considerations if you're coming from sea level and all that. But you're going to love the course. Like I said, I designed all of these courses of my favorite places to ride. So we're really excited to host you out there. And again, great job on doing your homework, taking the class, and getting yourself prepared. And we will see you in the next chapter.
See you soon.
Be good.